All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this October Focus On program. We're speaking with Mandy Cook, the library director at Marysville Public Library. Thank you for being here, Mandy. We had somebody, Nathan Carr, reach out to me a month or so ago and said, "You've got to get Mandy on here to talk." And so I thank you so much for agreeing when I just reached out of the blue. So would you please introduce yourself and your library?
For sure, for sure. Hi, everyone. It's nice to, well, probably not see you, but it's nice to be here. My name is Mandy Cook, and I'm the director of the Marysville Public Library. I've been the director almost 3 years, but I've been in the Marysville Public Library for almost 12, actually, I believe. So I'm just excited to be here. The Marysville Public Library is near and dear to my heart. So on my bio on the website, it talks about when I graduated college, I worked a couple other jobs, but when I got my job here, I knew that I was home. So for sure.
Very neat. It's nice that you were able to find that at a young age. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
That's maybe not the case, but I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about your hometown here, Marysville. What can you tell us for those of us who haven't visited before?
You bet. Absolutely. So Marysville is a town of about 3,200. And I like to kind of say that it's one of the most bustling small towns that you're going to find. We are very blessed in the fact that we have some international businesses, including Landau Company, Tension Envelope, Valley Vet Supply. There are things in the Union Pacific Railroad. There are people in this town that connect with people all over the world every day, which I think is awesome. But aside from that, we just are a town that has a lot of excitement for continuing to stay rural. We are as you can see, there's Dewey. We are the Black Squirrel City of the United States. And so in 2022, we actually celebrated 50 years of that designation. And we added to our already 18 5-foot fiberglass squirrel statues. We added another 34. Is that right? Yep, 30, something like that. And so now we have 51, actually. We were hitting for 50 and got 51, but it's pretty awesome. And this is, of course, the library squirrel. His name is Dewey. And he is, of course, sitting on a stack of books. This happens to be a picture where we were doing a flat Stanley thing with a different library, but he's sitting on a stack of books, and my husband is very good at doing puns, and so all of them are kind of punny. There's, squirrel interrupted and all sorts of things like that. But yeah, Marysville, I did grow up in Marysville or close to, and this town just has a wonderful forward-facing, exciting vibe. I'm so glad to be in Marysville. I'm glad to have my family here.
For those of us who can't quite pinpoint it on the map, can you get us geolocated?
Yes, you bet. Absolutely. So when I am not around this area, most of the time I say we're about an hour north of Manhattan. So straight up 77, we're about 12 miles from the Nebraska border. So we are one of those people that when the state library says, you may not be able to log in if you're close to the Nebraska border. Sometimes our patrons, our residents of Marysville have problems logging into the State Library of Kansas without their library card. Entering their library card because of our location. But yeah, yep, we're at the junction of 36 and 77. So it's fabulous because we're really equidistant between Manhattan and Lincoln. So we have a really good location.
Excellent. Yeah. And there's a lot of infrastructure along 36 that I remember, whereas some places don't necessarily have had bandwidth for a long time. It seems like fiber has run along that highway for as long as I can remember. So it seems to make for some well-connected communities. So that's probably a nice bonus as
Absolutely.
well. Well,
Absolutely.
I love the whole the fiberglass squirrels. I was in Chicago when they debuted their cows on parade, which I loved seeing around the city. And then when I moved to Lawrence after Chicago, they had done their Jayhawks on parade. So I just think those are great programs. So it's really neat to see a rural community embrace that as well.
You bet. You bet.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the library. We saw the photo, but I didn't have it up on time of the exterior of the library. A nice looking building, but can you tell us about how the library operates?
Sure, absolutely. So we are a city library, and I'm sure that the staff members that are watching this right now and or the staff members that will watch this later are going, "You use those pictures of us?" Yes, yes, I did, because I love you very much. But we are a city operated or city tax funded library. And so working with the city, there are struggles, but we have a lot of support. The council members really understand what we're trying to do here, and that is awesome. But my staff are here in front of you. We have four full-timers and two part-timers. And it's just wonderful to have people who are excited to be in the library as I am. Miss Lisa is down there in the corner. Some of you who have been in the library system for a while might recognize her because she's worked for about 20 years for the Maryville Public Library on and off. And we just recently, yes, I know it's awesome. I always give her shout outs for that. Just recently moved her to full-time. She had been part-time for most of those years. And she just has a wonderful rapport with the kids, and I love them. But every single one of these people on the screen are really awesome at the library, very well valued. And there's just lots of different people in different walks of life. We have a stay-at-home mom, and then we have Dee, who is from Brazil. So we just have so many wonderful just different people that come that work at the library. So it's so nice to have them here. And Jacob's from Nebraska. So from everywhere.
Excellent. They look like a
Yeah,
good group.
absolutely.
So just a follow-up question on that. What are your hours of operation? Are you guys a 5 days a week?
Yes, yep, absolutely. So you did ask me that, and sometimes I get
Not a
lost
problem.
in talking about my awesome staff. Yes, we actually are open 6 days a week. We're open Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 6. So we're able to kind of get that later crowd. And then Thursday, we're open till 7:30, 10 to
Oh,
7:30.
nice.
And that's one of the times we have our story times, and it's at times isn't well attended, but other times it's great just because it gives people opportunities to do
Yeah.
something at a different time. And then we are open from 10 to 2 on Saturday. We're closed on Sunday.
I don't feel like I hear a lot about a lot of nighttime story times. That seems like
Yeah.
a good way to catch people.
Yep.
All
Yep. And
right.
that's the first way I actually started at the library is I worked part-time doing family story time. So
Cool.
Mrs. Lisa's taken that over it and run with it. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the library proper, the facility. So, what can you tell us about the physical space you all inhabit there?
Absolutely. So one of the first things you can probably notice is we have a lot of color in the library. And the reason why that is the case is because this building was built in 94 and then opened in 95. And it was, for lack of a better term, industrial. It had, gray blue carpets, white walls. It was just blah. And of course, I'm sure it was fine when it was opened, but as the years moved on, it became just uninviting. And so about 10 years ago in 2014, yeah, I think so, 2014, we had a complete internal renovation. We were only closed for about 2 weeks, but my director of at that time, Janice Lynn, some of you might remember her, she would always say that we touched every single item in the library at least 3 times because the way they did it was in sections. And so we had to move something out of one section and put it in another. And since we were still open, it had to be something that the patrons could still access. And so we moved and we moved and we moved. And so it was very interesting. But one of the goals, Janice's goals, as well as the library board's goals at that time, was just to make things look more inviting. So you can see kind of the burnt orange and the light blue. There's also green. You can kind of see it on the soffits up there, but it just really makes the library look warm and inviting and just like somewhere you might want to sit down and chill. Um, one of the things that I love most about the library is our young adult section. Before I became the director, I did a lot of the programming, and my favorite was always that middle age to high school. Miss Lisa can keep the sticky fingers and all the hugs. Ew. But I love the kids who sometimes talk back to you when they shouldn't. But in this new library, we started a young adult section, and you can see there. I took that picture deliberately with the stop sign there in front, because anybody is welcome to go in there, but only 10 through 19 can hang out. And I'm happy to say that when we do have Teen Cafe, it's on Thursdays at 3:45. We usually have between 8 and 15 kids come in. And I definitely have a set of regulars that come in all the time. And it's just, I'm so glad that they feel like they can come in and have a place of their own. Because as we all know, those times are pretty hard in our life. And the library is a safe space, and we just want to make sure they know that. So, but anyway, aside from that, the two pictures on the bottom then are our children's section. The awesome letters on the wall are actually painted on, and they mirror, back at that initial picture, the library to the west has a wrought iron metal gate, and it was actually designed by a local artist. Yeah, there we go. You can kind of see it there with the sun. That arch. It was designed by a local artist, April Spicer, and it's cut out from metal. Landau Company did that for us. And so the letters in here were painted by April, and they emulate that gate, which is really cool. It's a way to bring the outside in. And it's kind of neat to look at the letters, because she's hidden different things in there. There's Reed, there's her kids' names, there's our initials, the people who worked at the library at that time. And so it's a really, really neat, vibrant way that is fun for people to look at. And then that top right picture, that's just the adult section. So it tends to be a tiny bit more subdued, but there's, to the left of the picture, there are a couple of study rooms, which were new when we did the renovation. So it's just a nice place for people to kind of sit down and spread out. So yeah, we love
Study rooms, love it. Looking at your shelves in the upper right, looks like a really strong, lean collection. No books on the bottom shelf, everything's spaced out so it's easy to pull and put back. So that looks like a real winner. And I was noticing on that bottom right, all that hidden cabinetry. That must be really great for your children's section to be able to have things just right on hand, but also to be closed up. So that all is
Yes.
great. And then I was just curious, before we moved on, you mentioned a pretty large age group for the young adult, 10 to 19. Do you see people in that whole age range?
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about programs here real shortly, but one of the things that when I first started, Janice and I really had to put our heads together, because I did a couple of teen programs, and at that time we had the young kids, the babies, and the teens, and we didn't have anything for the middle. And we put our heads together because I was not getting any teens after the person who was doing it before me left, and after those kids age out, it's hard to catch them. It's hard to get the hook in. And so at that time, 13 years ago, 12 years ago, however long it was, I decided to create a tween time, is what I called it at that time. Now we call it between. And it's that 3rd through 6th grade. And it really, so we do see them in here. Maybe not as regularly as we see little, younger kids, but that's of course because their parents can bring them or their caregivers can bring them. But we do see kind of all ages come in. And we really try to make sure that they know, again, that they have a safe space, and we have a specific program for them. It's only 3rd through 6th grade on Mondays, and Teen Cafe is only 7th grade and up. So that way, if they have a sibling that really wants to come, that's fabulous, but they have their own time, and the teens and the betweens have different times for them.
That's great. And what a cute name, Between, for your tweens group. But it sounds like, and we'll talk about it here with your program, and it sounds like you're getting them while they're young, and then keeping them when they're a tween, and then letting them know that it's still a place they can come as they get a little older. That's great.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so now we will, as we've talked about, get into a little bit about the programs and services. It looks like you guys have a lot of fun, as I said, as we were warming up here. So what would you like to tell us about?
Absolutely. So our programs are, I'm very proud of our programs. I mean, my staff works really hard, and I think that we really try to listen to the changing times of what people want. But one of the things that's remained static for quite some time are the programs after school. So we do have programs after school 4 days a week. And for a pretty small, I mean, for a pretty small town, we're pretty proud of that. That does not include the story times and the baby story time, which is also, there's 2 story times a week and then a baby story time per week. So we just keep ourselves busy. But I think that that's amazing because again, I've said it a couple of times, the library is a safe space. And so we have kids who come from school who maybe don't have anybody at home, or we're just used as a waiting place. They go down to dance class, or they go to an art class somewhere. And so we are the place that they're able to come and relax for a few minutes. And we love that. It's warm. But so I always have to brag on those. But here, in front of you, the poster is one of the newest things that's been happening here in the library. Um, I heard about this thing called the DOC grant. The DOC stands for Digital Opportunities to Connect Kansans from the Department of Commerce. From the state of Kansas in January. And my coworker that brought it to me, she just said, we don't have time for this, but maybe we can hire a trainer, do some classes. I don't know, let's think about it. So I thought about it a little bit and I was like, you know what? Why not? So we jumped in with both feet, and we have computer classes actually tonight and Thursday are our last ones of this round, but it's a 2-year grant. And so we'll do more rounds of fundamental classes specifically. Those are the ones that have been the biggest hits, but this last advanced class that we'll have here pretty soon is all about how to shop safely online, which I think is perfect right before the holiday season. So initially when we first put signups for this class online, we weren't getting any bites, and I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? But all of a sudden, kind of the word of mouth happened, and bam, they really filled up very well, and I've heard nothing but good things. Just like my employee said, we do not have time to do these ourselves, and so we did hire a fundamental trainer and an advanced trainer. The fundamental trainer is an ex-teacher, a past teacher, retired teacher, and she's fabulous. I just sat in on a couple of her classes, and she just has perfect control and knows how to tell the information to people so they learn it. And then the advanced teacher is actually somebody from Blue Valley Technologies, which is located in Home City, which is just 4 miles away from Marysville. And the guy knows what he's talking about. That's Jerry Horton. And he's very, very knowledgeable. And it's wonderful to show some of those partnerships that we can have, which I know is one of our next questions. But anyway, just to finish up the DOC grant, like I said, classes are going really well. The second half of that grant is actually working with the Marysville Chamber in Main Street. We are connecting with a company called Locable, and they are coming in to help out our Marysville businesses get a stronger online presence, which is fabulous. They'll get a website for free built for them, and they'll learn how to upkeep it and put things on social media easily and quickly, because some people don't have those skills, and so they're going to teach them how to do that. And so when we did our interview for the DOC grant, they were just so pleased that a public library was willing to be the hub of these classes. And so I'm just, again, very proud of my staff who had to kind of deal with some of the things that I let go because I had to work on this. It's taken a lot more time than I thought it was going to. But it's been worth it, and I think it will continue to be worth it. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why Nathan nominated you, is because of these computer classes. I know as somebody who has a former life as a tech person, we don't hear as much about people, at least at our kind of rural libraries, offering these type of classes. maybe they did in the past. But it's kind of difficult, I think, knowing like what are the skills. And I just wondered, since we do have a little bit of time, you told us a little bit about what you might expect from an advanced class, which I thought that was really smart. Can
Mhm.
you just let us know what are the things that people are learning in a fundamental tech computer class these days?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So, as I said, I'm not training it, so bear with me or I'm not the trainer, so bear with me as I go over what I know she's been talking about. Um, One of the things that we observed at the library here were there people of all ages that were coming in and were trying to fill out job applications or struggling to write a letter or create a poster or something like that, even sign in on email, understanding that their email password and their banking password are two different things. And so those fundamental things that that's to some of us who work on computers all the time, it seems silly, but it's not. It really isn't. This world is so digitally focused, and it's only going to get more digitally focused as we go on. We all know and understand that. And so she really starts from the very beginning. Like one of her first questions on her opening questionnaire is, this sounds exciting, I'm in, or, kind of a ranking. This sounds exciting, I'm in, I'm interested, but I want to learn more, or I'm scared to death of computers. She really takes them down to the very bones of this is how you get on the internet. This is how you click here. We currently, the most of the class is filled up with the older population, which is fabulous, keeping track of their kids online on Facebook or communicating them and keeping them safe banking wise. I mean, all of that type of stuff I think she's going over. But we're really hoping that anybody of all age will be interested in coming and being involved with these classes, since we'll have them for a couple more years. But yeah, she really starts small, the basics, learning what a browser is and things like that. To tonight is our last class of like I said, of this round, and she's working on more how to type a letter on Word. Now we're there, we're getting there. How do you type it? How do you print it? How do you format it? So it really built on itself here in Marysville.
Great. Do you think that she has any resources she's built that might be able to be applicable to anybody else?
Absolutely. I think you'll have to excuse my quick Google here, but I
Yeah,
think
no
it's
problem. I put you on the
digital.
spot.
I think it's digital learn training. So it's digital DIGITALLEARN.org, I believe. Yes, yeah, I scroll down and there's computer basics. Though she said she had already planned some ideas of what she wanted to do. All of these classes were experiments. We didn't know where people were going to be at, what they would want to learn. We encouraged them to come with questions, a list of questions. But it was actually, I think it was a, 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 a can libel or can, however you say that, email that was talking about how do I help people of the older population or people who don't know things about computers. And this was one of the resources that was shared. And I just was like, well, I'm going to send that to her. And she digs it. So those videos are very well done. Digitallearn.org. Very,
Thanks.
very
That's
well put together. So definitely check that
that's
out.
that's great. And I'll throw out also, since I've talked about Nathan before, I do know
Yes.
that he's done programs that can be found on the state library website too. So that might be a resource as well. And you mentioned partnerships, and this slide's good as any to talk about some of the partnerships and why they might be important. We'll talk about that for a moment if you like before we get to our last prompt.
Yes, absolutely. In small towns, we tend to all try to want to do the same thing. We're all trying to connect with people. We're all trying to make their lives just a little bit better. And so when I was looking at this grant, they talked about partnerships. We could have just done, computer classes in-house. We've done something like that before. They've gone over. But when I started realizing we have these resources in our community that we would love to partner with, I thought Blue Valley Technologies, absolutely. We have done a couple of classes with them where they brought in some high school kids to work with seniors and seniors. That's what they called it, the Blue Crew. That they just answered all sorts of questions about phones, about laptops, about your Roku stick, and what better group to really just develop that idea of spreading the information and spreading the love. And then when the Chamber Main Street director happens to be a friend of mine, as a matter of fact, I'm also the chair of the other committee that he is the director of. And so anytime that we talk about being able to develop our downtown, keep our downtown vibrant, I mean, I am all on board with that. The library is part of the downtown district. And so just having businesses continue to be vital is just so important. And we were noticing that there was a lack of um, businesses that were retail that were had a strong online presence. You know, we try, people try, their kids try, you know, the chamber tries, but how can we help them out in a dramatic manner? And that's a dramatic way. And so that's how we figured out how Locable would really help. So the partnership with Chamber Main Street again was just, it was just automatic. And of course, so there's other partnerships we have. We love partnering with our extension office, doing the programs. Susie right now is doing open enrollment for Medicare. So she's really busy right now, but lots of times we'll have her come and speak because there's so much information online, which is a good and a bad thing, that sometimes people get confused, and she really cuts through that. She understands what people are interested in and look for. We've had their office before with ag type of things, you know, how to reseed your grass, or house plant swap, all sorts of things, even a canning program. And so I think that anytime that we can help each other out and spread the love, you know, with all programs, work together, we're really trying to involve the same people. So I think it works. I think it makes sense to be have strong
Yeah.
partners when you're a
Yeah,
librarian.
it sounds like you're kind of an anchor in this vibrant downtown community. I mean, you're talking about dance classes and art classes and these retail businesses. I mean, that's amazing. So our final prompt or question today is just talking about professional organizations. So you mentioned that KLA is one that you belong to. What do you get out of it? And now we have a conference coming up. How about a pitch for your presentation?
Absolutely. I do think that being involved with a professional organization is important. Just for some of the things that I've been talking about here, it gives you ideas and chances to talk to other people and get ideas. Um, as well as, I don't know about you, but in my day-to-day life, sometimes it is hard to go do any extra education. And when you're able to go to the KLA conference, then you're able to have some really in-depth focuses on some continuing education. And I think that's really, really important, because nobody wants to get stagnant. Nobody wants to do the same old program and then complain that only one person showed up last time, and 20 years ago you had 25 people. Well, your community might have shifted. So KLA and places like that really give you a chance to see the world in a broader view, which I think is important. And absolutely, I'll give a small pitch. Pauline and I from the Emporia Public Library are doing a presentation about the DOC grant, about go for big grants too. I got about $81,000 from the DOC grant, and I think she got similar, somewhere around there. And so it was overwhelming when we first started it, but hopefully I've convinced you that it was definitely worth it. It's a really great program. There's another round coming up that closes, I believe, November 18th, and I'm actually thinking about applying for more money, and then I think no, but it really is a worthy program to look into, or other bigger grants like that. So we're going to encourage you to look into things like that.
Sounds like a great opportunity to learn a little bit more and maybe get a last minute application in for some big time money. That's a heck of a
Absolutely,
payout.
you bet.
Well, I don't see anything else from our folks in chat, although thank you, Anna, for pointing out that it looks like that resource was from PLA or associated with PLA. With that, thank you, Mandy, for joining us today. I look forward to seeing more about the doc grants at KLA. Remember, conference is coming up here at the end of the month. I know I'll be presenting. I hope to be able to chat with some of you then. So thanks again for being here, and hopefully we'll see you in another installment in November or beyond. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.